Oliver, 39, first met Diana, a 25-year-old law student who attracted his attention with her attractive appearance and toned figure. She worked as an assistant at a firm owned by one of Oliver's friends. Oliver's friend had his own view of Diana, but she remained cold and distant, brushing aside his attempts to win her over. When Oliver invited Diana to dinner, she did not hesitate to agree, much to his delight. Slowly but surely, their relationship began to take shape. Diana was reserved and honest, which only made Oliver want her even more. Fast forward a year and a half, they tied the knot in a lavish ceremony that left everyone in awe, especially Diana, who came from a far-off village. Her folks were over the moon seeing their daughter flourishing both professionally and personally. Though Oliver invited Diana's parents to move closer, the couple eventually settled back into their own place. They enjoyed their life side by side, free from the demands of children, simply soaking up each other's company. Oliver was happy enough having a son from his first marriage, and Diana felt she was too young to be stuck at home all day. Even with that little difference, they were genuinely content together. Oliver often joked that he must have been on his best behavior in a past life to land such a wonderful wife in this one. Diana was the ideal partner, juggling her job, keeping their home warm and tidy, and taking care of themselves with ease. Every time Oliver glanced at her, a smile would creep across his face. Their joy seemed unbreakable until fate had other plans that turned their world upside down. One morning, Oliver was tidying up his desk, sifting through a pile of business letters and newspapers. That's when he spotted something odd. A slightly swollen envelope that caught his eye. No stamp, no return address. Just his name, Oliver King, scrawled neatly in the top right corner. It was strange. He'd never received anything like this before. Figuring it might be some weird kind of ad, he hesitated for a second before carefully tearing it open and dumping the contents onto the desk. Spread out in front of him were a bunch of photos, all of Diana, but some of these shots showed her in such awkward and compromising positions that a knot twisted in his stomach. He recoiled, feeling the mix of disgust and a reflex to shield his eyes. What on earth was this? Oliver was baffled. Could it be a cruel prank? Maybe someone had messed with the pictures using Photoshop. There was no way that was really Diana, his wife, in those images. He stepped into the hallway and asked the receptionist if she'd seen who dropped off the envelope. She shrugged, saying it looked like some courier in a yellow jacket. "That's all I remember. Sorry, Oliver," she said with a quick smile before slipping away behind a door. Back at his desk, Oliver looked closer at the photos again. They were recent. He spotted the matching tattoo on Diana's arm, the one they'd gotten to mark their 6-month anniversary. His curiosity piqued. He decided to do an online search using Diana's name. Nothing came up except a flood of adult websites. Suddenly, the photos in the envelope seemed almost innocent in comparison. His mind was clouded, thoughts spinning wildly. He spent the whole day in his office, absent-mindedly rolling the envelope of photos between his fingers, wrestling with what to do next. Should he confront Diana or keep quiet? And if he said something, how would it change everything? Before heading home, he cleared his browser history, making sure no one would accidentally stumble across what he'd seen. When he walked in that evening, Diana was there to greet him with a warm, genuine smile. "And you know what? We have steak for dinner, the kind you like," Diana said cheerfully, and her smile lit up the room. Oliver looked at her, completely confused. The woman standing there, so warm and familiar, seemed completely different from those photos. A cold wave of disgust washed over him, and he muttered something about being tired and needing to rest. Without saying another word, he retreated into the bedroom and collapsed onto the bed, falling into a restless sleep. That night, his mind was a battlefield of dreams. Visions of confronting Diana, demanding the truth, tormenting him until dawn. After 2 days of agonizing over what to do, he finally couldn't hold it in any longer. He tossed the envelope with the photos onto the table in front of her. Diana's face drained of color the moment she saw the pictures. Her eyes locked on Oliver's, wide and terrified. "Please, let me explain," she pleaded. "All right, go ahead," Oliver said coldly. She told him the photos were taken by a friend at his studio, part of a marketing project. Back in her university days, she'd done those shoots just to make ends meet. But Oliver's patience snapped. "Then why are you still doing this?" he shot back. "I just wanted to help," she stammered, but Oliver's anger boiled over. He unleashed a furious tirade, shaking with rage. "I can't trust you anymore," he said harshly, unsure if there was something deeper hidden beneath the surface. Given the rumors swirling around those studios and her silence about it all, every word she spoke felt suspicious. Diana sat there, head bowed, tears streaming down her cheeks, fully aware she'd crossed a line. She knew Oliver would be upset, but she hadn't expected this storm. Trying to prove anything to Oliver seemed pointless. His mind was clouded with fury and bitterness. Diana hoped he wouldn't lash out physically, though she knew deep down he wasn't that kind of man. Still, in moments like these, you never know what might happen. Oliver started angrily tossing her things out of the closet, stuffing them into a trash bag. "Pack your stuff and get out," he demanded. Scared of his wrath, Diana didn't argue. She grabbed a jacket, snatched the bag he'd packed, and left the apartment. Out on the street, feeling lost in the sprawling city, Diana called a friend who owned a studio. He offered her a place to crash, on one condition: she'd have to work for him. Meanwhile, Oliver moved ahead with filing for divorce. Still clueless about who sent those photos and growing more frustrated with his own impulsiveness. Struggling to survive, Diana took on more modeling gigs, even the risque ones, just to pay the bills. Oliver, on the other hand, slowly began to realize the fallout from his actions. But by then, there was no turning back. City life came with its own demands. Diana needed cash to cover rent and groceries. Modeling in adult-themed shoots proved a solid paycheck. Yet, despite the hustle, she often found herself missing Oliver, sneaking glances at his social media, trying to keep tabs on him. No suitable new partners had crossed her path, so she filled lonely evenings with fellow models and alcohol. Little did she know, her world was quietly unraveling.